Hey, what's going on, everybody? So this is another video, and this video is going to be about the 3 biggest mistakes a new wholesaler can make in real estate. So I've actually known somebody who's done these, and I've done a couple of them myself. So without further ado, here we go. Number 1, most importantly, don't tell the seller you're a wholesaler. Why is this important? It's important because you not only are going to confuse the seller, but it's just going to overcomplicate the whole phone call. So chances are they don't know what that is, and then they're going to want an explanation, especially if they're selling to somebody for cash. First of all, buying a house for cash, it already sounds sketchy to them because, well, they don't live in a world of money, and or they may not live in a world of money, and it might be different to them. Also, they're in a distressed situation, so they feel like people can take advantage of them very easily, and they just don't want to be very vulnerable. So just remember that. Don't tell them you're a wholesaler. Even if they ask if you're a wholesaler, just say, hey, we buy houses cash. Leave it at that. Chances are they heard the term over the internet or something briefly, and they're just trying to see, they're just trying to show that they have their guard up, is basically what they're doing. And actually, I've had my first big deal, $65,000 wholesale deal. The seller had actually asked me, hey, are you a wholesaler? And I said, hey, that's a strategy that we have, but we look to buy the property first. And so that's what we do. And made 65 grand from it. So this guy was an investor too. It just goes to show you, sometimes you got to call their bluff and just run with it. The normal, we buy houses. Number 2, not knowing how to control the phone call with the seller. So this is very, very important, because I remember the first couple calls that I made. I remember the first phone call I made in this business. I was given a list of leads, and I was told to call them. Didn't really have a script, and the very first person I called cussed me out because I called them by the wrong name. I still remember it. It was like I was so excited, motivated to get this thing going, and called the first person up and they cussed me out. So not knowing how to control the phone call and not knowing what to say, knowing what to say kind of comes with practice and experience. More importantly, just get out there and start talking with sellers, whether you're cold calling people on Zillow, Craigslist. Just cold call every single one of them and offer half of what they're asking. The point isn't trying to get a deal. If you do, obviously it's a great thing. Just to get over the fear of talking to the seller, because I think a lot of this stems from fear. But also knowing what to say does have a part of it. So having a good script, solid script that helps you control the phone call, or at least some kind of flow of the conversation. So that way you can systematize this once you start talking to lots and lots of leads. Because you don't want to get bogged down with information that you don't need on a property that you might not even get accepted, and you wasted 15 minutes per phone call getting information that really you don't need. So get a good script, that way you can control the phone call. I'm actually thinking about creating my own, and it's verbatim what I say in my leads, and so we'll see. But make sure you get a basic script or just some kind of outline of how you're going to structure the conversation, because that'll give you more than what I had. So, and I did have a template, like a worksheet of kind of like, hey, this is a bedroom, bathrooms, things like that. But I never knew how to overcome objections. So write down the objections that you do have and see if you can't find the answers to them online, or network with somebody you know. You can even ask me on Instagram at the_Harshman, and I'll be happy to answer them on my own time, when I can. And chances are I've answered every objection out there. So number 3, wholesaling a property that you don't have under contract. Why is this important? Not only is it illegal, but 2, it's a big waste of your time, the sellers and the buyers. And some of you are probably thinking, well, who does that? Or why would somebody do that? And the thought behind it is, if I don't get the property under contract and I market it out and I find a buyer, I have a guaranteed deal done. And so they don't want to risk putting it under contract and then having to release the contract because they're afraid the deal won't work. So what they do is they try to wholesale a deal that they don't have just to see if they can get any interest. That way they can save the heartache of the whole thing. And I gotta tell you, it doesn't work like that, because one of two things are gonna happen. One, somebody's gonna catch on. They're gonna take your deal because they know you don't have it under contract. Two, you could get caught. Actually, there's three things. You could get caught and get in trouble for it. Or three, you go and finally you find a buyer who has accepted your price, but then you go back to the seller and they've either sold it to somebody else or they're no longer interested, and then you just wasted the buyer's time. So there's nothing guaranteed if you don't have a contract on the property. You need to get that contract, because then you're solid, you're good to go. They can still back out at that point, but it's gonna be a lot harder for them to do that, especially if you have a solid contract. And then you can have the equitable interest to market it out, the contract, to your buyers. And that way you're taken care of, and you're taking care of the buyers and sellers. The last thing you want to do is market this property out. You show the property to your buyers on your inspection day or whatever, and the buyer either takes the deal from you because you're inexperienced, or you wasted their time. They're very interested, and you're building that relationship, and they find out you didn't even have the property under contract. Think about that conversation, how awkward that would be. Here's this contract or this property I don't have, but here, I'll sell it to you for this amount. That doesn't make sense. So anyways, I think those are the top 3 things that new wholesalers do wrong. And I think if you're a new wholesaler, I hope this video helps you. You find some value out of it. If it did, be sure to subscribe, turn on the notifications so you can get my newest videos. I'm going to be putting out a lot more. And just remember, you can follow me at _Harshman on Instagram, where I'm constantly offering free tips on my stories and stuff, because I don't save everything I say, but I do try to post as much as I can, so that way I can be transparent as possible with you guys and help you get started. My mentor is that way. He shares his wealth of knowledge for free, and he also does paid version where you can get targeted information, and I'm probably going to be doing the same thing. But for right now, take advantage of the free stuff. So free 99. Anyways, if you have any questions, concerns, let me know. Type it down in the comments if you have any problems that you're having right now, and I'll try to answer it in a video or directly. And I hope to see you in the next one.